a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with another tag. This is the Reading Habits book tag. I think it's been going around BookTube for years. Originally created by BookJazz, which apparently is a channel that no longer exists, so I can't link to the original video. But I watched Elizabeth of Bookish North's version recently and quite enjoyed that, and decided that even though I haven't been tagged, that I'm going to do it myself. So without any further ado, let's get started. The questions. Number 1, do you have a certain place at home for reading? Yes, I have a recliner, electric recliner sofa, and because I have a bad back, I like to be reclined when I am relaxing. I do all of my at-home reading in that recliner. Number 2, bookmark or random piece of paper. Always bookmark. I have a profusion of bookmarks, especially since I buy so many books from the book depository. I have bookmarks coming out the wazoo. But I also have treasured bookmarks. I should have got those organized to show you, but I won't take the time now. But I have a bookmark from Singapore that has a quote, a photo and a quote by the author of my favorite novel of all time, Madeline Tien. I have Kendra Winchester's Reading Women podcast bookmark. I've got some really special bookmarks. 3, can you just stop reading, or do you have to stop after a chapter or a certain amount of pages? I can just stop reading, but I find idiosyncratically that I always want to stop at the top of the page on the left-hand side if I'm not stopping at the end of a chapter. I don't know why. 4, do you eat or drink while reading? I don't eat while I'm reading, unless it happens to be audiobook or ebook. If it's a physical book, I don't want to get anything on the book, and I find it, difficult because usually the book needs at least one hand, if not two hands, to keep it open while I'm reading it, so no, I don't. Do I drink while I'm reading? What do you think? Five, multitasking, music or TV while reading. So yeah, I have really changed. I think when I was young, so much younger than before, I could multitask, but now I can only listen to classical music while I read. I used to listen to any kind of music while I read, and I now can no longer listen to vocal music when I read. Either my brain is deteriorating, or the focus of my reading has sharpened. I like the latter theory better. So I now listen exclusively to classical music, and I do need to have music on while I'm reading. So classical music without vocals. I used to listen to instrumental jazz, but even that, I think because the saxophone is so close to being a human voice, it distracts me, and I do find even violin music, I can't listen to it, but then I don't really like violin music, period. But that's another topic for another tag video. And if I'm in a public place, I can't just enjoy the Starbucks music, even if it happens to be instrumental, even if it happened to be classical, which it never is in Starbucks, but because of all the other noise of the cafe, so I have to have my headphones on with classical music loud enough to block everything else out. And that's how I read. 6, one book at a time or several at once? Always several at the same time. I think ever since I've got so deeply back into reading about 3 years ago, I have always had, and now I typically have up to 10 or a dozen on the go, but certainly minimum of 8 of various media, audio, e-book, and physical book. Right now it's no e-books and 1 audiobook, and the rest maybe 8 or 9 physical books. Having a great time. People ask me, or people say, well, how can you keep the characters and the stories straight? And I always respond with, how do you keep the characters and the stories straight on all the TV shows you watch? It's the same thing. There's nothing to it. And I think, I'm young. I'm not young, but I have been as influenced as the rest of you by all the social media distraction, unable to pay attention to a certain thing for more than about 10 or 15 minutes. I have that. And so for me, that's why having several books on the go works so beautifully because I give it my deep focus for 10 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever, and then I put it down and I pick up the next book. And I also think that there is a certain amount of reacquainting yourself or re-immersing yourself in the book that comes with having several books on the go. And when I re-enter the world of the next novel after not having looked at it since yesterday but having been reading 3 others, I have to pull up all the narrative strands and re-engage with everything and remind myself of everything. And I think that mental exercise makes the reading process deeper. 7, reading at home or everywhere. Everywhere. I read on the train, I read on my breaks when I'm teaching, I read everywhere. And audiobooks when I'm walking or on the train. I notice that when I have a day where I only teach for 1 hour or don't teach at all and I'm at home all day, I don't actually get as much reading done as I do on my busiest day, which is Tuesday, where I'm on the train going here and I have a break before and then a lunch break and then several train rides and then another break, and I'm in my empty classroom for 25 minutes before my students come. Those days I get a ton of reading done. 8, reading out loud or silently within your own head. I hear voices. No, I don't read out loud. Does anybody? Now, here's the thing. If it's late at night and I'm getting sleepy but I want to get more reading done, I stumbled upon this trick. So please let me know if you have ever tried it or if it works for you. If I get a little bit like I'm nodding off and I'm having trouble staying awake, but I just want to keep reading, I will then read aloud to myself. And that works brilliantly for getting my brain awake. So other than that, or when I'm making a video and I'm reading to you, I don't read out loud. 9, do you read ahead or even skip pages? I don't read ahead, but sometimes on those rare occasions where I have decided not to bail, but I'm hating the book, once I have gotten close to the end of that book and I hate reading it, I give myself permission to skim, and I skim to the end because I've already decided it's a shitty book, and yeah, I'm going to count it, and yes, it still counts if I read the first and last sentence of each paragraph of the last chapter and a half. Damn it all. But bailing is much better and more satisfying. We should all be bailing more and more often. Last year I bailed on 62 books, and that was too low. I hope to double it this year. 10, breaking the spine or keeping it like new. What do you think? Have a look. My books, once I finish reading them, could be resold as brand new. I never crack a spine, and I will not buy a book at a used bookstore that has a cracked spine. No. I'm reading Ali Smith's Winter, and it's really tightly bound, and I'm opening it just this much, just so I can read it. I'm that kind of a reader. And the last question is 11. Do you write at your books? Yeah, I don't write in my books if they are new. If I acquire them new, I have a neurosis or a phobia of writing in them. If I buy them used and they're a beat-up copy, which is rare because I don't usually acquire beat-up copies, I give myself permission to write in them. And I do sometimes make an exception for nonfiction. But I think it's kind of silly, since, especially if it's a book that I love, I'm not going to ever get rid of it. You know, when I highlight the crap out of my ebooks, and even sometimes type notes in, and I used to, when I was a student, always write in the margins, and even more recently have, and now I just can't do it. Why? Okay, this was a fun tag, and I'm going to tag StoryGlyph, who's a channel fairly new to me, and he is adorable and delightful. You should all be checking him out. Lindsey Reads, Alba of Seriela, and Sonya of An Enthusiastic Reader. And of course, let's revive this tag. Anybody else who would like to do it, please do it. Thanks for watching.